Right, so I'm going to start talking about my neurodivergence. Um, more, I guess, I just feel compelled to. One reason that's probably the case is because I'm not in therapy right now. I haven't been in therapy since I moved, which is great to explore. I was in therapy. I went every single day. Not every day. Oh my God. I would go to therapy once a week. And I had the same therapist for 9 years. I think. Something like that. 2017. It would be 9 years. Okay. Fun because we're in a 9-year. The hermit year. Anyway, this is just going to be a little bit of rambling until I get my bearings. But I have had the maybe because I haven't gone to therapy in 6 months, that I feel the call to talk about my experience, particularly neurodivergence, as I'm like really accepting it as a part of myself, and living in a different society and culture that is not built on burnout. My move was like a mental health care move to not live in a capitalist society where everyone's experiencing the same burnout. I guess it can work for neurotypicals. However, I'm really recognizing that I couldn't do it. And not everyone has the privilege to be able to move countries. However, I had a foot in the door already, and I moved for different reasons. But after 6 months here, I'm recognizing like, oh my God, this was a mental health move of just the society and culture. So but what was I talking about? Oh, I had a flashback. I had a flashback memory of the times that I was in therapy, and without having been formally diagnosed with ADHD or autism. But my therapist like sat there across the room for how long? And like they couldn't just be like, darling, you're autistic. You come in and over intellectualize everything, and what you do half the time in these sessions is rumination, and you make it worse for your nervous system. And they would tactfully try to, yes, allow for my autonomy and what I needed to do in that rumination. And now in hindsight, I'm recognizing the ways in which they tried to break that up for me. And one thing, I'm having flashbacks, or something that is occurring to me is when they definitely had a correct suspicion that I was autistic, neurodivergent, yada, yada, yada. And they were talking about love on the spectrum and asked if I had ever seen it and that they really enjoy it, and suggested I watched it. And I did. And then they asked, like, when I went back in and was just like, yeah, like I watched a few episodes. It was really cute and wholesome. I really loved it. And they were like, did anything resonate with you? And I was like, thinking, I didn't actually like think too hard about that, because in my literal thinking brain, no, none of it resonated with me. I wasn't actively dating at the time, so why would anything about a show set up around dating resonate with me? Like, and completely not even investigating the parts of which, like, the social dynamics with, like, the people in the show and the dynamics with their family and their friends, and talking about just life being autistic. And when my therapist asked me, like, did any of that resonate with you? It's like, no, of course none of it resonated with me. I'm not actively dating right now. Simple as that. Gosh, we still had several years to go before I began to, like, actually understand that, like, they were trying to guide me to having the thought myself of, like, you're experiencing the world through a different sensory input. It still took several years. And there was more very graceful, like, leading the horse to water sort of thing to help me to recognize, because, like, that has to be such a funny experience as a therapist when, like, you have so much information on this person and all of this is great evidence of they're most likely experiencing the world through a neurodivergent lens, nervous system, like, but this is also therapy, psychotherapy. I was in there to talk and, you know, grieve and everything else. Like, that space being disrupted if they were to bluntly be like, you're autistic, and, like, not really knowing my reaction. But there was one time, anyway, I'm gonna cut this off. That's all. Okay, bye.